morning. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Erica. Hey, Catherine. Hey, have fun in Kansas tonight. It is not raining. It's sunshiny. What you're seeing behind the camera is my easel. I sit the camera on this art easel. And so I just block the camera with that bar sometimes. Yeah, it's super sunny. Hi, thanks for dropping in. Hi, Cynthia. Oh, enjoy your work. My sister Catherine's on her getting ready to go to Kansas to see our lemon dropper leader talk. Good morning. Let's see. So it's September 22nd. Yeah. So you'll have to let me know how that goes. If you feel like scoping, if she'll let you. She might not let you. I don't know what she's talking about. I've seen her talk in little small groups before, and it's good. We are going through the book Holy Shift. So we're on September 22nd. It's daily. It's all pulled directly from A Course in Miracles. So we read the daily one, and then we skim some out of the, so it's not going in order, although we will start doing that probably in January. Oh, her 12 philosophies. Yeah. Cool. Enjoy. Alrighty. So today's is appropriate to all the chaos and the deep stuff we've been doing over the last few days, maybe the last week or so. In quietness are all things answered, and is every problem quietly resolved. Hey, I love that hippie chicky girl. That's such a great handle. And this comes from the text, chapter 27, section 4, the very first verse. And again, the text is like super long and involved. In quietness are all things answered. Good morning. So we've been talking about how, isn't that cute? Hippie chicky girl. We've been talking a lot about how when you encounter obstacles, you need to start asking questions. And the more questions you ask, the more likely it is you're going to get to your answer. And we talked about yesterday about how you've got to take your breaths, let your emotions flow through, get to the quiet place or the quieter place, and then start asking all your questions. Like, how can I see this differently? What's here for me? What's this information about? So in quietness are all things answered, and is every problem quietly resolved. The information will come to you, and the more you practice, it will just pop into your head. You'll hear, sometimes you have to go looking. Sometimes you have to overhear a conversation or flip through a book or give it some time. So in conflict, there can be no answer and no resolution. When you're in the thick of it, when you haven't been able to take a deep breath and slow your roll, the answers can't come because it's too noisy. And we'll talk a little more about that from a different book. So no resolution is possible because that's the purpose. The conflict is the purpose, is to keep you asleep, to keep you unaware, to dampen your awareness of the power of who you really are. And it is to ensure no answer will be plain. A problem set in conflict has no answer, for it's seen in different ways. And what would be an answer from one point of view is not an answer in another light. So that's your options. Hi, Michelle. You have the option to give an answer to a situation from an ego place, or you have an option to give an answer to a situation from a place of loving connection. Let's see. Every problem can be answered now, but in your state of mind, solution is impossible. So God's given you a way of reaching that other state of mind in which the answer already exists. So the answer's already there. You just have to clear the clouds away from the sun so that you can see it. And they call that the holy instant. So it's that instant in time, it's that miraculous moment when you stop, you breathe, and you say, I want to come from love. I want to figure this out, not in an analytical ego way, but you want to figure it out from a spiritual connected way. So that moment when you catch yourself, when you have that brief glimmer of awareness that there's more to the story, that's the holy instant. That's the instant that is the miracle, because a miracle is a shift in perception. It's a shift in how you are perceiving the world. You're perceiving through fear or you're perceiving through love. That little instantaneous flip, or willingness, I should say, to flip from one to the other is a holy moment. That is a sacred time, because that's where all your power is. All of it. All your power is in that moment of choice, which is just a fleeting second. The good news is you have lots of opportunities to make that shift. So if you don't catch it for an hour or a day or a year, you always have it. It's always there for you. And the second you reach for it, things start to shift. The second you stop and take a deep breath, the wheel starts to turn the other direction. So I want to read to you a little bit from this book, Women, Food, and God by Janine Roth. Awesome woman. She talks in this book a lot about how women especially will use food and sugar and things that make them not feel well to damp down their power. So it's smothering almost any ability to sense your own power, and it blocks the connection to source and spirit. By obsessing on food, obsessing on dieting, obsessing on this or that exercise. Yeah, I do too. Obviously, I have an issue with food. So I read this book a long time ago, and I'm just going back through it again. Yes. Yeah. Women, Food, and God, Janine Roth. It's an excellent book. It's a challenging book, and it fits really well. A lot of her stuff just fits right in with Course in Miracles work, because, right, it's all the same. We all have the same answer. Regardless of what method we're choosing to study in the moment, the resolution is the same. Come from love. It's that simple. But our little brains need to study every day the concept. So I'm going to go ahead and read this, and it talks about food, but it can apply to anything. Yeah, I am thinking about doing this book after, because, or maybe adding like maybe 2-3 days a week where we talk about this book, because it's such an issue for women, and I just hate to see, I've been thinking about it for a few days, because I hate to see women hurting themselves with food, and myself included. Yeah, I hurt myself with food, not so much as I used to. Like, I don't binge to the point of pain like I used to. But obviously I'm still overeating, and I'm still carrying a lot of excess weight. So the problem is not resolved yet. So rather than, I don't diet. I haven't dieted in years, because I figured out that wasn't working. So, going back through this again in relationship to the Course in Miracles teachings, it's been really helpful. So, let me just read you this one section from the book that I think applies to the stuff today. Hi, Linda. We're talking about finding that quiet place where answers come from, and the holy instant in shifting from fear to love. Good morning, good morning. And then we're talking about this book, Women, Food, and God by Janine Roth. I'm just going to read you a section from it. So, everybody has situations, right? We all have issues. We all have problems. Figuring those out. Oh, good. Yeah, you're here just in time. That's how it always is. Everyone has situations, but figuring those out is not the hard part. The hard part is allowing yourself to know what you already know. What you knew when you were 4, but have forgotten. The hard part is disengaging from the roar in your head of can'ts and won'ts and let me out of here's From the habitual way you swing into gear around the food thing to paying attention to the deeper song, to the deeper truth. Letting go of food as a focus, as an obsession. I'm not reading now, I'm just still adding my own here. But letting go of that food as an obsession, you have to reach for something else. You can't take one thing away from your mind and not give it a replacement. So you have to be, especially if it's an addictive type behavior, you have to reach for something else. So from the habitual way you swing into gear around food to paying attention to the deeper song, the deeper truth, the you without your story of you. Okay? Let that sink in for a second. Who would you be without all the stories that are wrapped around you as a constricting blanket? Okay, so you as you experience yourself directly right here, right now. When you sit down, when you listen, when you really listen, when you sense your body directly, there is what Eckhart Tolle calls an animating presence. So he calls God or Spirit an animating presence, blazing through you. I'm sure that at least once in your life, you've probably experienced a sense of something on fire almost, just a light within you, even if it was only for a fleeting second. So she talks about, I swear I thought I heard a cat with a bug behind me. You got to keep an eye on those guys every second. It's beyond the story. The fire within you, the light within you is beyond the story. It's wordless. Right, Linda, you know you have a cat. So when you hear a funny noise, you got to check it out. It's not of the past. It's not anything ever told you. It's been in the background of your life every minute. But since you were paying attention to the externals or the cheeseburger or the ice cream sundae or whatever, you were paying attention to the promotion and the money in the bank, you haven't been able to hear it. You're paying attention to changing dramas and feelings so you don't notice it. But now you have a choice. Now you can. And your relationship with food can be the doorway. So, you know how we've talked about doing shadow work where you just sort of take an inventory of your life, find the people that aggravate the shit out of you and start there? She's talking about using food as that doorway. So she has some guidelines, which you can Google, or I might have them. I'll see if I can find them quickly here. She has some guidelines, one of which is like the hardest thing in the world, and that is to only eat when you're hungry and only eat in quiet. I really like to eat in front of the TV. I actually really like to eat like mindless food in front of the TV, so like popcorn or chips or stuff that you can just sort of almost conveyor belt into your face without having to actually pay attention. So let me see if I can find those guidelines. And she has these workshops where, she has workshops where you have to experience following these guidelines. And the range of emotion that comes up when you start to do them is incredible. I've done it myself. Yeah, conveyor belt, just like rah, 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 rah. I really like to eat that way. I mean, the part of me that likes to be numb, the part of me that likes to check out, likes the conveyor belt kind of eating. You would think that these guidelines would be a little easier to find, but you can Google it too. I'll come back later maybe and do a little screenshot. Anyhow, so instead of starting with a life inventory, you're starting with what's on your plate. Because she's saying that, especially for women, that's how we block our awareness to God. That's how we block our awareness to all that is. Because that's how we keep our power down. And our culture tells us that we are not supposed to be powerful. Right? So we still get that message as women that we're supposed to be less than. Right. Right. Where's my bag of popcorn? Especially the white cheddar popcorn. Okay. There is an inner weather pattern, a combination of feelings and events that defines and reminds us of our place in the world, and struggling with food is part of it. You believe that you are someone who will always want what you can't have, whether it's thinner thighs or a life without obsession. And then you see the guidelines and something in you says, oh shit, no way. I would like to say to not let eating become a sin, though. There are those who push that. You mean there are those who say that overeating is sinful? Is that what you mean? Tell me more about that. I want to make sure I understand. Yeah, okay, so that overeating is a sin, yeah. If you redefine sin in A Course in Miracles terms, sin is only going against yourself. It's only stepping away from your connection to God. It's missing the mark. So if you think of overeating as sin in those terms, it's very non-painful. Gwen Shamlin teaches even one bite too much is a sin. Ooh, that sounds kind of harsh to me. Janine Roth is all about not harshness, and so am I. Like, we can learn and we can change. It's going to be painful. Right, avoid that woman. Avoid anyone who tells you even one bite too much is a sin and you should beat yourself up about it. That's extreme. That is probably not very successful either. Like, people can start programs like that, but they don't stay on them. Because, seriously, we're not going to stab ourselves in the eye all day long, every day for long. We might do it for a while, but we're not going to do it forever. We're just not built that way. So, but if you redefine sin as a stepping away from your connection to God, then overeating could be defined that way, not in the way she's using it. But anything that we're using that blocks our perception and our right to be connected to that peace, to that deep, deep inner stability, in Course in Miracles terms, would be called a sin. Not only because you're blocking your connection to the most joy and peace that you can possibly have, but not in those punitive terms. Yikes. Yeah, don't do that. So, you hear about the guidelines and something in you says, oh shit, no way. That's understandable. Obsessions are made out of no. No's, the word no. No this, no that. No, don't eat. No, don't drink, whatever. Being free from obsession is the act of questioning that word, no. Of relating to your relationship with food instead of from it and as it. I highlighted this part when I read it. The obsession will end when you love discovering your true nature more than you love being loyal to your mother or your father or your school teachers or whoever told you that this is how it had to be, that life had to be painful, that life had to be a struggle. We have inner loyalties sometimes to family systems or church systems, the kind of like punitive church systems that hurt you, not the healthy ones. Hey, Pensive Tony, right? Yeah. Watch it in the replay. You can watch it in the car. Hugs to you. Love you. The obsession will end when you love discovering your true nature. So obsession ends when you flip it from being obsessive. Good morning. Obsessive with food or obsessive with drama or obsessive with work. When you flip that obsession to being almost obsessive with connection to spirit. So when it's all brain reward, right? When the reward of seeking that connection and achieving that connection is higher than the reward of checking out, however you're checking out of life, whatever method you're using, that when you feel how good it feels to stay connected to Source on a more minute-by-minute basis, that becomes your driving force. And that is the shift. I'm definitely feeling that happen in my life over the last year. Like, you couldn't make me stop my daily practice now for any amount of money. because the reward I get from it is better than the reward I got from getting up and hopping on the internet, instead of getting up and consciously saying, I want to connect to spirit. I want to feel that deep inner peace. I want to have that. Connection is the only word I can think of, but you know what I mean, like that deepness. The obsession will end because you care. What was I doing before Periscope? Just books. I pull cards better than any opioids for sure. When you get the connection to spirit and stuff, you do get a brain release of dopamine. And dopamine's the chemical release in the brain that keeps us doing things that make us feel good or achieve an objective. So, Michelle, I do, and I still do, a written daily planner or a written journal. And I pull cards from a couple of different decks just to sort of track where I'm at, and get, information that way. I just use the cards as a tool to tap into my own intuition. But before that, I would just jump. No, I wasn't. Well, with clients. I used to be a therapist. I specialize in trauma, so I did all this work. I have all these resources here because I use them with clients. I use them with coaching clients. I use them in the workshop. And DMT to show you the unseen. What is DMT? I feel like I should know that. Yeah. Well, Periscope has opened this avenue up for us to share. So I don't have to have you in my office to share now. I can share with as many people as get on here. I love it. It's like greater, all the stuff that I would do this with you if you were a client. We would go deeper into it. But that's taking it and putting it on a much broader scale. And it's free. Coaching's not free. Therapy's definitely not free. I don't do therapy anymore. But coaching is not free. But this is, so, okay, so, right, free is good. Let's see. Where was I? Okay. A hallucinogenic release by the pituitary gland. Ooh, that's cool. Obsession ends because you care enough about yourself to stop damaging yourself with food or whatever. Because you love yourself enough to stop hurting yourself. Because who doesn't want to take care of what they love? You take care of your children. You take care of your pets. You make sure they have everything they need, even at sacrifice to yourself. You make sure that they have food, that they have clothes, that they have a roof over their head. You love them. And you make sure that they have everything and you don't hurt them. If you hurt them by accident or ignorance, you say you're sorry and you do better. You can do yourself the same way. Treat yourself the same way. You treat yourself as a priority. Make sure you have good food and food that's good for your body. And make sure that you have clothes that fit you. Don't cram your body. Right. That's what I was talking to my sister about yesterday. We love our kids, our husband, but what about you? What about loving you? Right. You already have everything that we talk about. If you look at your life, you're most likely already doing it somewhere. You just have to transfer skills. It's like puppy training, like we've talked about. When you train a dog, you train them to sit at home. Then you train them to sit outside. Then you train them to sit at a crowded mall. Then you train them to sit at a major event. Like, you have to train them in all these different areas because dogs sometimes don't generalize their skills. They learn to sit, but they learn to sit in a specific environment. So you have to train them that, no, we sit in all kinds of environments. So there's probably an area of your life where you do take care of yourself, and you just have to take that same skill and transfer it across the board. So you're already taking care of your kids and your husband, so you just transfer that skill to yourself. You already know how to do it. You just put it in a different area. If you pay attention to when you're hungry, what your body wants, what you're eating, when you've had enough, you end the obsession, because obsessions and awareness can't coexist. You can't be obsessed with something that hurts you and be fully aware. It doesn't work. When you pay attention to yourself, you notice the difference between being tired and being hungry, between being satisfied and being full, between wanting to scream and wanting to eat. So if you're stuffing an emotion with food and you become aware through these processes that we're doing, you decide to deal with the urge to scream rather than squash it with a bag of popcorn. Or whatever. What's your favorite cramming conveyor food? Mine's popcorn. The more you pay attention, the more you fall in love with that which is not obsessed, that which is blazing itself through you. You fall in love with that piece of spirit that's blazing through you. Popcorn with M&Ms. Oh my God, that sounds amazing. It sounds awfully good. Like all together, it sounds really good like all together in the same bite. You fall in love with the life force that animates your body. It's okay to have a handful, not a bowl full. I can eat a bag of popcorn in a couple hours. It's hard to untaste it. Have a drink of coffee. That's what I'm going to do. Cheers. I'm going to stop mentally imagining M&Ms and popcorn. Food becomes a way to sustain the body that holds that blaze of energy. And any way of eating that keeps you depressed, water is very good for you, or spaced out or uncomfortable starts to lose its appeal. So you start to lose your attraction to being depressed, spaced out, uncomfortably full. It starts to lose its appeal because you're replacing that with that glorious feeling of being connected to spirit. When that happens, you slowly realize that you are being lived by that which is God, and you wouldn't have it any other way. You wouldn't block your connection to that blazing, animating presence once you've gotten hooked on it, so to speak. You are more than your stories, more than your personality, and no situation is unworkable. Many blessings to you. Thanks for joining us. We're going to wrap up real quick, so you're not going to miss much. Obsession is an unexpected path because it points you back to yourself. Whenever you want to eat when you're not hungry or don't want to stop when you've had enough, you know that something needs your kindness and attention. So, just like when there's somebody out there causing you problems, it's your red flag. And she just uses food in the same way. When you're stuffing, when you're mindlessly eating, when you're conveyor belt chomping, that's your red flag that something's going on. And you just backtrack. Like, when did I get hurt earlier in the day and decide to go numb? What happened earlier today or yesterday or 20 years ago that made me want to go blind to the power that's in me at all times? That making sense? And so then that takes us full circle right back to today's reading of the quiet spot. In quietness are all things answered. She asks us to eat in quiet. And every problem has an answer, and it's resolved in that quietness. The information comes in the stillness, which can't happen until you drop the conflict and ask questions. So it's kind of a circuitous way to explain today's reading and make it a practical thing, so you can apply that to whatever is going on today. When you find yourself, you feel that clench in your stomach, or that just tensing. In Buddhism, it's called shinpa, the hook. When you get hooked by something in your environment and you feel your attention go to it and you feel your mood and your energy start to drop, you can catch it and you can return to the quiet place. Hey Mom, we're just wrapping up. The replay should be good though. We're talking about food today and obsession with food as a tool to squash our power and our connection to spirit. So Okay, I'll let you guys get on with your day. I'm going to get on with going to the dreaded grocery store. It's kind of ironic after what we've been talking about, but I will not go down the M&M aisle. If you don't pay attention to the whispers, you won't only get a box of shit, you'll get a big hammer, right? The 2x4, the cosmic 2x4 therapy, a 2x4 board across the nugget, right? That's so true. Pay attention to the small whispers so that you don't get the board cracked across your head like, hey, dummy, wake up. So, yeah. So pay attention to the quiet whispers today. Pay attention to those sensations and tensions in your body and ask yourself, oh, I'm sorry. It happened to you twice in the past year where you got the big smack, the big cosmic hammer to the head. Well, I bet you won't do it again. I bet you'll start listening to the whispers earlier. That's painful. That's really painful. It's all good now. Good. Yeah. We don't get those hammers for no reason. Sometimes we have to be moved into where we need to go. And we make the process worse than it has to be. But we're being moved for a reason. You've outgrown where you are and you're going into something else. So, good. Okay. I'll see you guys in the morning. Have a fabulous Tuesday. And we'll talk to you later. Thanks for coming. Thanks for all the beautiful hearts. I appreciate the love. You're welcome. You're very welcome. And Tanya, I'll look at a schedule for doing this book. We'll do some pre-planning for that. You're welcome, Linda. Bye-bye.